Alright guys, today we're going to talk about something a lot of people don't like dealing with because really the time that it takes to process these. These are black walnuts. No, they're usually not this black, and experienced people will know this. Um, but one of the hardest parts about black walnuts is being able to process them. And so I've tried many different ways, and I think this is by far the fastest method for hulling, and then I'll get to the drying later. But typically, when they fall on the ground in the late fall, they'll be green, and they are almost impossible to clean. So I'll give an example. First, let me start out by saying regular gloves will not work with black walnuts. They have a stain in them that will go through any thinner gloves. I've actually went up to 9 mil as far as the thickness. That is the only thing that will work. And I'll put on another pair of, over these, just so when I don't really risk tearing the latex gloves. This is a thicker glove, and the black walnut goes, as you can see, it goes through it, the stain. But if I wore just these gloves, there's a potential I can tear them and stains my fingers, and I've did that, and it's been 2 weeks and my fingers still dark. So I had some 6 mil gloves. I had some thinner ones, of course, they didn't work, went right through that. But the 6 mil, they went through the gloves after a day and stained my hands. So I've learned. I went up to as thick as I could get, 9 mil. They're still really comfortable. You can move in them just fine, but you don't want to get this black stuff on your hands, or it can get on your clothes. Wear some clothes that you don't really care for. And that's what I do here. As you can see, this black, I'll just rub it on. And it just stains everything. So, okay, let's go back to when you get your walnuts. A lot of people don't want to mess with them because they have to process them, and it takes forever to dehull. So, it's hard to get this outside layer off. And I'll show you what I used to do. I used to have to get a hammer and sit there and do this to every one of them. And these have been setting for a week as well. So, then I would sit there and peel the whole off. As you can see, it's just like it takes a long time. I've tried soaking them in water for 2 days. And there's your walnut. We're still not finished with it, but that just takes way too long, especially when you have as much as I have. I mean, I probably got, not here, I got 3 piles like this, and it's probably been 20,000 walnuts. So, I've tried other methods. I've tried hooking these up to big drills and kind of grinding the whole off. And yes, it does slowly work. It doesn't do a great job, but it's much faster than using a hammer, or anything to cut away that hole. But you're going to be spending 10 to 20 minutes just to do like maybe 50, and it's very time consuming as well. So I experimented with making a spot inside the house where the temperature is more consistent. It's kind of dry, and I made a big pile in here. And I let it sit for a couple weeks, and everything has turned consistently, like it's blackened consistently. So I worried about, well, if they got black, would the nut ruin? So I've already gotten about 25 gallons out of here that I've dried out, and you get maybe like 4 to 5 bad ones per 100, and you'll know when you soak them in water, the bad ones will float. So, and that's the same as it was when I was dealing with the green walnuts, when I was holding them when they were green and getting the holes off that way. So I spend 100th of the time doing this than I did with the green walnuts, and so I will never go back to deholing these walnuts any other way than what I do now. You can get outside and you can step on them. That takes too long. I've seen other videos where people drive on them. That takes too long. There's no other method that is faster than this. If it is, show me, because I can do a walnut now, get the hole off within 5 seconds, and it just makes processing so much easier. And so I'm going to show you. I'll sit here and do some. And just give you an example. All you got to do when it's black like that, just twist it off. You can just sit there. I mean, really faster than 5 seconds. So yeah, the hole is black and is no good anymore. It's not really rotten. Maybe it is, but it doesn't affect the nut inside in any way. It just makes it really easy to get that hole off. And then the process after this, I take them and I rinse them off before I put them in a dryer. and you get really clean ending. And I'll show that in other videos. But I just wanted to show you how fast this is. And like I said, you won't get any extra bad ones. This doesn't affect the nut in any way. You just maybe a little bit more of the black stain, but as long as you're prepared or got the proper equipment on, this really won't bother you. And you can really clean a whole lot of walnuts or dehull them really fast. And so there's really not a method I think that even comes close to this. Not even a machine, really. But you're going to pay about $5,000 for a machine that takes the whole off. And then if I want some more, like what I do, I made myself my own little scoop, and I just get some and pull them up to me just like that. You see the whole pile's got pretty much the same consistency. So let's just say if I get some that's kind of a little too green still, like this one, it may, yeah, it's still twist off. But let's just say I get one like this one, which I brought from one of the outside piles, and they do not age the same. When they're outside, you'll have so many green ones on the top, where they're inside, they're all pretty consistent about how they blacken. So that one's so hard. So if I get a hard one in here, which rarely happens, I'll just throw it in the back and then continue on. So I'll actually finish these up in about, I don't know, maybe hour and a half. And then I'll show in other videos how we get to the drying process. And you can just have nice ones like this. I mean, it's really not much work after this, and this really takes away so much of the work that people have to put into walnuts, and it actually makes it fun. I was actually regretting getting so many walnuts this year from all my trees, but finding this method and seeing how well it works, I think this is the way I'll do it every year. And I don't even care to search for another method. This is as easy as it gets. Especially if you and some kids or your spouse, you can sit there and do this in no time and have plenty of walnuts that you could bake with. You could sell, or it's one of the healthiest nuts that you can find. It's even more healthy than the typical English walnut that you find in stores. You rarely find black walnuts in stores, but a lot of that is to do with it's hard to grow these trees in orchards, and this whole process is really difficult for a lot of people. And like I said, I've been through so many methods to try to find a good way to get this hull off, and this is the best method. And they really only started turning black within this last week. These have been in here about 2 weeks, and they were all typically like, let's see, maybe like this until about a week ago. And then I started processing them about 3 days ago, and it's been really easy. You see, even the ones with a little bit of green on it just comes right off. And once I'll show another video how I rinse these off. It's really no different than I did the ones with the green holes. But even these clean off better than the ones with the green holes. So the whole process is just like, I actually see myself being done with this and another pile within a couple days, whereas before I knew I was going to have another week whenever I got the free time in the afternoons to do this. So I hope this helps you out, and for those guys that's out there, trying to, you're frustrated and don't know what works. So get you some thick gloves, make you a spot inside, put you some tarp down, or inside a shop, put you a tarp down, give it a couple weeks, and it's just, the process is so easy. So hope y'all enjoyed the video, and see y'all next time.